we had for the WBC Interim Super Welterweight Championship, Vergil Ortiz and Israil Madrimov. I thought starting off this fight, Madrimov was probably winning the early rounds for me. Just boxing, movement, and the movement was giving him a lot of trouble. The awkwardness, and it took some time for Ortiz to figure it out. And then he made adjustments. In about the sixth round or so, I thought he did a better job of using his jab, working on the way in, cutting off the ring, and vicious body work. And he started to break down Madrimov. In the end, won a close decision. What'd you make of this fight? What'd you think of Vergil Ortiz's performance?
Well, I knew it was Vergil Ortiz when he did some vicious body work because that's his calling card. He don't need a name tag. He don't need a. He goes into a room, but he don't need. Sometimes you're in a room in a big gathering, big event. Not everyone knows everyone, so they put name tags on you. Vergil Ortiz just goes over and hits you in the body. Oh, Vergil, how you doing? you know, you know what I mean? Oh, hey, Vergil. Even if you never met him before. Boom. Oh, hey, Vergil, that's you. That's number one. But the other thing I want to say is this. I'm making no excuse. I love Vergil Ortiz. I love him as a person. I love everything I see about him and his style. He's fun to watch, obviously. And his adjustment in the last two fights that he showed, he's the whole package. And by the way, I think I got this one right too. Madrimov started off where he had success early on, and then it deteriorated. And I'm going to get into it specifically, but it deteriorated with pressure, steady pressure, smart pressure, the jab, controlling the outside with Vergil, showing other parts of his game, not just his body attack, showing that he's more of a complete fighter. He has other skills, that he's athletic, showing all those things to a guy that we know showed us with the Crawford fight how good he is and how special he can be. And how underrated he was going in with only 11 pro fights to that fight against Crawford because he had 300 amateur fights and he extended the great Crawford. I'll say it again, the great Crawford. Yes, he made Crawford, go to the next gear to figure out what he had to do to make sure that he got control of that fight, which he did eventually. But he was forced to go there. Sometimes a great fighter is not forced to go to that next place. He was forced to go to a higher place because of how good and how surprisingly good Madrimov was because he only had 11 fights going in for us to judge him on and not with that level of competition. So we knew he was a guy that was really, really good and maybe even special. And then because of what Ortiz did, he deteriorated a little bit, and he didn't stand his ground as much. I know he uses his legs. I know he's awkward. He controls range. He likes to fight on the outside. He could be a herky-jerky, awkward guy, unorthodox, very tricky with all that. But he moved a lot more than I expect him to. Now, a lot of people can say, and rightfully so, that Ortiz with the steady pressure, cutting the ring down, using the jab to stabilize things on the outside, eventually closing the gaps, going to the body, forced him to do that. He came out, no excuses. But I like to put everything out there. I always said to my son, I want to be the x-ray machine of boxing on this podcast. I want to be the CAT scan. I want to try to get everything. I want to be the MRI. I want to try to get everything out there. He did say, we don't know if there's validity to it, but he don't seem like a guy that just makes excuses. He did say that he didn't feel good. The doctor had suggested that he didn't take this fight, but Madrimov took the fight. I'm just doing my job. I'm putting out everything that I think needs to be put out there. He did put that out there, that Madrimov's like. Now, look, it could be an excuse. It could be that. I'm just saying that I give full credit to Ortiz, but I wonder if he was a little off. Just a little off that he moved more than I expected. Again, maybe it was the body punching of Ortiz. All that. That's enough, Ted. Boom. But no, it's not enough. I got to mention it because it did seem to me like Madrimov was a little out of, I don't know if the word is out of how he usually what I would have expected from the way he behaved and and performed from a physical standpoint. I just didn't expect him to to move quite as much. Was he forced to move to survive because he didn't feel good? A little tiny bit because he didn't think he could engage, or it just made sense for him to do that because of what Ortiz. Maybe a little bit of both. Maybe none of the latter. Maybe none of the latter. It was just all Ortiz, and it probably was. But I had to say that because on top of that, we had two fights that fell out because guys did get sick. You know, Schofield first, that we don't know exactly what happened except that he was sick, he was in the hospital. And then, of course, Dubois pulled out because he got sick. So it does make me have to mention it that, you know, it begs to say, hey, Teddy, you got to pay attention to the possibility of validity with it. So I had to mention that. Thank goodness he didn't pull out because then you would have lost, you know, you would have lost almost half of the card. You lost two of the fights, and it was still a great card, great fights. Everybody was happy, special, tremendous. But you still did lose two of the fights, you know, and it could have been a third. So as far as having put that out there, Ortiz did what I picked him to win, but he did what I had talked about before the fight. That he's more than just a seek and destroy, get you out of there body catcher. You know, Mike McCollum, the great body catcher, middleweight champ from years ago, was known as the body snatcher. Vergil Ortiz could be the body snatcher. Sequel to Mike McCollum, body snatcher number 2. That's what he does, and that's why you love him. He goes, he puts pressure on, he fights with passion, he fights with confidence, he fights like a warrior, and he bangs you out to the body. After he went the distance for the first thing, which I think was the best thing that could have happened to him to get prepared for this level, this next level, and the level he's at now, he showed something else. He showed himself something else. I can depend on myself. I can do more than bang a guy out. If I don't bang a guy out, I can get off the floor, which he showed in his fight before this. I could get off the floor against Bohocek, right? It was Bohocek.
Twice.
He got off the floor twice against Bohocek, who you got to love Bohocek. He's just a punching machine. He just keeps coming forward, and never I mean, you talk about an engine. I don't know if it's diesel, if it's gas, if it's electric. I don't know what it is, or solar. All I know is that guy never stops. So Ortiz fights him, and he gets a little taste of his own medicine. Bohocek's going to the body. Bohocek's not letting him press him only. He's pressing him. And what does he do? He gets off the floor twice. He survives. He shows what it takes to be a champion, to not just fight like a champion, but to behave like a champion. He shows himself that, yeah, I got everything I need to have. And it's important for a fighter to know that, to have those answers to those questions we all have in whatever we do in life, that you can depend on yourself when it gets tough, when the light gets a little dim. So I thought that last fight was really important for him going in here. But more than just that, it showed that he's more than just a seek and destroy guy. He's got skill sets. He knows how to fight. He's got Robert Garcia and his father. I mean, he uses his jab. He's got a good jab. He's athletic. He knows how to fight. When push comes to shove and you take away the knockout from him, which is always going to happen in this sport, you're not knocking everyone out. He can go win a decision. He can do other things. He ain't, relegated to only being able to press forward. No, he can do other things. And he showed that. And I knew he would show that. And I thought he was going to have to show that to win this fight against the tough opponent in Madrimov. And he did. He lost the first couple rounds because Madrimov was winning on the outside. He was moving. He was getting the geography he wanted. He was picking spots. He was moving, doing a good job of navigation, good job of ring generalship. And I said it during the live, podcast. Before he ever has to take air out of the tires, which he's going to have to do, take away the legs a little bit of Madrimov from fighting the kind of fight that he's fighting right now that's being successful for him. But he's got to use his jab. And I know he has it because I saw it. So he's got to start using it. And he's got to lower the sights on it. He's got to start jabbing to the chest of Madrimov, not to the head, because he ain't going to find nothing there. Because Madrimov is tricky. And he's cute. He's elusive. He knows how to control space in and out. He knows how to be a ghost when he has to be a ghost. So you got to jab a little lower just to stabilize him, just to control him a little bit, to keep him from doing what he's doing, pot-shotting you. Control that. And then start to gradually, make haste slowly. You love that, Ted, when I say that, but make haste slowly where you don't get over anxious, where you walk into a counter, where you make mistakes. Slowly shrink the ring and get in close where you can start banging the body and doing your thing. And he did. And I said this during the live streaming. And people, go out there and watch it. It's still up, I think, the Ring Magazine Live, if you feel like it, to make sure I'm not lying to you. But I wouldn't lie to you. I really would. I would not. I care about about such things. They're important, not to do certain things and not to lie. I care about your reputation. So, he started to, I forget if it was the third, fourth round. I said he's got to start doing these things. And sure enough, Robert Garcia, I didn't hear it, but I know it. I don't have to hear it. He sent a memo to him. He gave him a message. And all of a sudden, he came out. And Robert Garcia, the Trainer of the Year, Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year, former world champ, he started doing the things I was talking about. And it made a difference. It made a big difference. He started getting back control. Or not even back. He didn't have control. He started now getting control of the pace of the fight, the tempo, the rhythm of the fight. Not allowing Madrimov to control it on the outside the way he was. And he started to shrink the ring. And he started to do his thing, going to the body. And he cut the ring down. He didn't follow him around. He moved lateral, kept him in front of him. At the end of the day, he did a great job, Ortiz. He answered the bell, so to speak. He stepped up in that level and did what not everyone thought he could do or knew that he could do, more than just punch, that he could box, that he could be the full package. And he did that. He did that. That's what won the fight for him ultimately, showing his athleticism, showing his versatility, showing his dimension of being more than just a seek and destroy guy. So it was a great win for him, terrific win for him, and obviously disappointing for Madrimov. But I will be very interested, Bud, in testing my theory a little bit. If Madrimov maybe was a little off physically, who he fights next and what that performance looks like. Don't sleep on Madrimov, whatever you do.